Apparently, rain only happens once or twice a year in Dubai. I just happened to witness the second one of the year, and it was like a monsoon. This is Experiencing the City. I'm Michael Matheny, and today I'm taking you experientially to the futuristic metropolis of the Middle East, Dubai. In September of 2021, I had the opportunity to travel to the United Arab Emirates, capturing the sights, scents, sounds, feels, and tastes of the Arabian megacity along the way. While the city isn't exactly dripping with religious history like its Middle Eastern counterparts, the Emirati citizens do still have a fascinating history of their own, and Dubai offers a great sense of traditional Arabia while simultaneously serving as a poster for a cosmopolitan 21st century society. Everything here feels state-of-the-art, from the fully automated metro system to the dazzling lights on some of the tallest skyscrapers in the world. Incidentally, a mere 45-minute drive out of the city proper, you're in the desert. And while life seems to cease existence as you cross into the dunes, you'll find a horizon that looks as if you're in a virtual reality painting. Experiencing Dubai, even to the small extent that I did, is truly remarkable. So let's dive in. Dubai is tall, incredibly, but in pockets, that is to say. There are large strips of towering skylines separated by low-rise residential expanses. These areas have an architecture that would fit well into Orlando, Florida. Terracotta roofs, beige facades, palm trees, pools. Dotting the residential skylines are the pillars and domes of various mosques, sometimes cleared, sometimes partially obscured by the sandy air. The business area of Dubai boasts a dense, Manhattan-sized skyline of pointy, sharp-edged, and sometimes eccentric skyscrapers. They seem very skinny compared to skyscrapers in other cities, perhaps because they're so tall. They gave the impression of large sticks poking from the ground. Burj Khalifa is particularly pointy and immaculate and is of course the tallest building in the world. At night, the skyscraper itself literally glitters. Old Town Dubai, or the Al Bastakia Historic District, sits alongside the Dubai Creek and dates to the 1890s, one of Dubai's oldest surviving neighborhoods. The dense neighborhood evokes images of Tatooine in Star Wars or Arabic villages in the Indiana Jones films. Coral and sand make up these squared and boxy structures, shaded with tan canopies and glittering lights. The ground is paved in similarly colored stone pavers. The ambiance is incredible. If you've been to Disney World, you understand the notion that it almost felt like a fantasy. And yet, day-to-day businesses and restaurants fill the winding pedestrian paths, filled with sounds of traditional and dance club, Arabic music, scents of Middle Eastern oils and spices, and a decidedly cooler air than the rest of the modern desert metropolis. The most fascinating aspect, as with many older cities, is that you can stand alongside the Dubai Creek and view the historic, sand old town while simultaneously gazing upon the extravagantly lit yachts and skyscrapers on the other side. Jumeirah Beach, where I stayed during my visit, is another area with its own distinct look. At the time of this filming, I've never been to Miami, but this part of Dubai is certainly what I imagined Miami to be. Skyscrapers with balconies on every floor, a marina cutting through the middle, flashing lights, an extensive beach. This area has a ton of American chains. You have Five Guys, McDonald's, Subway, Starbucks, even a Dickey's barbecue. Walking along the beach, there are a few indicators, however, that you're not in Miami. For one, the air is sandy. There's a constant haze in the distance, and it's not smog, it's sand. Even in this tourist district, Arabic letters accompany English. One of the coolest aspects of Dubai is that it was literally built on a desert. This fact, of course, means that the barren Arabian desert is a mere half-hour drive from the dense city. The desert is absolutely breathtaking. Hill after hill, or rather dune after dune, of a rustic orange seems to stretch on forever. My first impression while staring out into the sandy void was that it looked like a brushstroke painting. It was at a gas station on the way to a desert safari that I was able to stop and capture the scenery, and it was just in the nick of time, because within 5 minutes, the canopy on the gas station started to rattle. A sandstorm had blown straight in, and the air was completely covered in strokes of sand grains, all blowing horizontally. Then came the downpour. Apparently, rain only happens once or twice a year in Dubai. I just happened to witness the second one of the year, and it was like a monsoon. The power kept flickering in the gas station and the roads were completely flooded in, muddy, tan water running along the edges. It was truly one of the coolest things I've ever witnessed, right up there with the triplet of waterspouts from Pensacola, Florida. With the downpour of rain, the desert dust settled and the dunes glowed in the orange sunset. Against the tan sky and muted sun, the rolling desert hills were truly among the most beautiful things I have ever seen. Dubai has a very distinct smell, which is something that I found to be true in the European cities I've visited as well. The air smells like Middle Eastern spices mixed in with salt water, and this is pretty consistent throughout the entire city, even inside of the buildings. The one exception I can recall is the Dubai Mall and Burj Khalifa, which interestingly smell exactly like every Simon Mall I've ever been to. Further away from the tourist hotspots, you do get an added layer of Indian spice and curry. About 50% of the expat population in Dubai is Indian, and that heavily influences the fragrances, the spices, the perfumes, and the food that waft through the sidewalks. The sounds of Dubai are interesting in that they aren't exactly what you'd expect. Yes, there's the sound of traffic, constantly. There's no escape from that, much like in virtually every city I've been to. There is an exception to the standard city ambience in Dubai. Sirens were rare, if ever heard. This surprised me because no matter where I've been, large cities have had a relatively consistent stream of siren sounds from police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, and the like. Despite a mega 12-lane highway running down the center of the city core, Dubai's drivers seem to know what they're doing. In the more nautical cities I've visited, seagulls and pelicans cry out constantly, especially as you get closer to the ocean side. Despite sitting on the Arabian Gulf, however, Dubai's wildlife didn't seem to consist of seabirds at all. In fact, the sound of crows, or some bird that sounded like crows, dominated the air. This is likely attributed to the fact that most of Dubai's wildlife and greenery is imported. Go figure. Construction noise lasted through the night as well. It wasn't particularly invasive though, the sound just seemed to blend in with the atmosphere. That atmosphere, of course, being the sounds of ocean waves, Arabian dance music, the crow-like birds, and immense traffic. 5 times a day, however, all of this vanishes. The call to prayer is perhaps the most beautiful sound I encountered in Dubai, an angelic voice echoing from the mosques throughout the city, creating a sense of pause in the otherwise non-stop metropolis. The songs that echoed through the urban canyons were beautiful, but carried a sense of mystery and eeriness, something that I found particularly fitting at night beneath the full moon in an Arabian desert. Dubai is hot. There's no way around it. The air is thick and hot. During the daytime, the heat index is easily 10 degrees higher than the actual temperature due to humidity. Despite being in a desert, the city is still on the edge of the Arabian Gulf. And the daily highs during my visit were at least 100 degrees. At night, it's still hot, and the air is even thicker. On the bright side, the water in the Arabian Gulf is also hot. The water feels like hot bath water. It feels really nice. Cosmopolitan though it may be, Arabian flavors are still prevalent throughout Dubai. At a little window in Jumeirah Beach was a small, presumably local, shawarma shop. I had Arabic chicken shawarma no less than 5 times for dinner. The tzatziki sauce with onions and peppers and seasoned chicken on the flour wrap is really a Middle Eastern staple, and it was perfect each time. One of the most interesting flavors I encountered in Dubai was Arabic coffee. While I first tasted it at the Sheikh Mohammed Center for Cultural Understanding, which I'll touch on in a moment, my fullest experience was at a cafe called Cafe Betil. Here, I was able to buy gourmet dates and was given a traditional Arabic kettle and a small espresso-sized cup. The idea with Arabic coffee is that one pour is just enough for a couple of sips so that it always stays hot. Arabic coffee, to me, tasted a bit like pinto bean juice. Now, with the dates as a supplement, the taste was a bit more bearable, as the dates were sweet and decadent. Overall, I felt very American while drinking this coffee. All I wanted to do was find a Wawa. I mentioned before the Sheikh Mohammed Center for Cultural Understanding. Outside of being one of the highlights of this visit, the food was phenomenal. The Emirati lunch was provided in a buffet style, and we sat on thick cushions on the stone floor. The main dishes for this traditional luncheon included chicken biryani, which is a collection of chicken, rice, and Indian spices, lamb morguga, a stew with lamb, vegetables, and Emirati spices, and lukaimat, I didn't say that right, a dessert made of deep-fried dough balls and honey. Everything was incredible and was topped off with Arabic coffee and dates. While this adventure was chock full of shawarma, falafel, Arabic bread, and grilled meat on sticks, I was particularly smitten by an appetizer I had called grape leaves, which I was able to try on my last evening in the city. These are oiled grape leaves stuffed with an assortment of rice and minced meat, and in this case, lamb. They're absolutely incredible and totally different than anything I've ever tried before. Dubai is eccentric, shiny, new, sprawling, and glamorous. The architecture assures you that you're in the Middle East, but the megacity is clearly existing in a futuristic playing field. While there are indeed American chains everywhere you turn, the air smells of Middle Eastern spices and saltwater and perfumes, reminding you of where you are. Dubai reminds me a lot of New York City and London, not necessarily because it's full of skyscrapers, but because it's so cosmopolitan. There's a rich cultural mix in every aspect of the city, which makes sense for a country that's comprised of 90% expats. In the same sense that New York City is American, however, Dubai is still Arabian. Before you see the English spelling on signage and businesses, you'll see Arabic. The majority of people are indeed in Western clothes and styles, but you'll still see a great deal of both Emirati and expat Dubai citizens in thobes, burqas, and hijabs. There are international chain restaurants and stores everywhere you turn, but you do not have to search hard for Middle Eastern cuisine or traditional markets. This is an incredible city, and my time there barely scratched the surface of all there is to experience. If you find yourself in a position to visit the United Arab Emirates or Dubai, jump on the opportunity. From an American perspective, Dubai is the perfect way to introduce yourself to the Arabian Peninsula, and despite having a strong Western influence, will leave you feeling like you're more connected to the rest of the world than ever before. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.